I've started with SaaS businesses with my co-founder Cyril about 15 years ago. We needed a shared inbox because we were two co-founders and we needed to collaborate. I think we've tried almost every tool on the market. It was working great at the beginning, but they kept adding a lot of bloat to the product. Pricing started to become crazy. And eventually my co-founder Cyril convinced me that hey, we should just do our own thing.
Cool. Who is your target customer? So small teams?
That's right. Yeah, small B2B SaaS teams, usually where the founder is still pretty much involved with operation.
So how do you know when to catch the right customer? Hello and welcome to a new episode of Indie Board Session. Today, I'm very happy to welcome serial bootstrap founder Antoine Minoux. Antoine, welcome.
Hi, Pascal. Thanks for having me.
And Sai Krishna, who's also a serial founder. You're the founder of Superblog, and Sai is going to be my co-host. Welcome, Sai.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Pascal.
So, Antoine, you're building Fernand, which is a customer support software for B2B teams. Today, in the first part of this episode, I really wanted to have a quick background on why you started to build in this category.
I've started with SaaS or launching my own SaaS businesses with my co-founder Cyril about 15 years ago. And so one of the very first thing you do when you start having customers is you need to support them. And clearly, we needed a shared inbox because we were two co-founders and we needed to collaborate on those conversations. So it became evident that we needed some kind of solution. So I think we've tried almost every tool on the market. I mean, at least the known ones. At the time, we used Groove, we've used Crisp, we've used Intercom. And every time I started noticing a pattern where it was working great at the beginning, but they kept adding a lot of bloat to the product. Pricing started to become crazy. And at the end of the day, we thought, okay, let's switch to another tool that does this a little bit better, that's more aligned with smaller teams. And eventually, my co-founder Cyril convinced me that hey, we should just do our own thing that is calmer, that is just in a way slower in the pace of innovation, not adding hundreds of features every week, but more like doing one thing and doing it well. So that's why prompted it for us.
Cool. And yeah, you have had before that a few successes. You started Improv MX, which I remember we looked at it. It was a pretty sizable business, doing close to $500,000 in revenue or something like that, if I remember, in annual revenue.
That's right. Yep.
And so if you look at Fernand today, who is your target customer? So small teams?
That's right. Yeah, small B2B SaaS teams, usually where the founder is still pretty much involved with operation. So doing support as well, or at least knowing what's going on. Usually 10 people max. And people that kind of hate enterprise tooling, sales calls, this kind of stuff.
In terms of the competitors, so you're competing with, you mentioned a bunch of names earlier, like Crisp or Intercom. You also, but what about the new sexy ones like Plane or Pylon? I see the founder of Pylon everywhere on my feeds these days.
Exactly. So there is, I don't know how many, probably thousands of competing tools, but I'd say Pylon, Plane, and another one called Product Lane are closest to us from a product design philosophy, kind of go-to-market and etc. So I'd say, yes, they are definitely the sexier one, but all three of them, they are also going for upmarket much more. So it's very much a sales play, right? Like a Plane only open self-serve signups, I think a few months ago. Before that, it was only sales driven.
Yeah.
So this is exactly what we're not doing, right? That's the differentiator.
And very expensive, right? I mean, Pylon, it's the minimum price for a monthly subscription, I think is $80 a month or something like that. So it's per user.
Yeah, I think exactly. It's because they are going up market. I don't think pricing is the main driver for them. So they are more competing on things like, super extensive reporting and the enterprise feature set that you would expect. Also, they are really good at marketing. They are very loud. And so at least the founder, Marty, is all over the place on LinkedIn and other channels. Actually even emailed me at Fernand to try and adopt violence. I'm not sure how optimize the strategy this year, but it was funny to connect with him this way.
Yeah. Okay. And so you launched Fernand, a year ago?
So we actually started working on it 4 years ago.
Okay.
But we've used it only for our tool, without really opening it to the general public for about 2.5 years. So we launched publicly 2 years ago. The reason is we realized there's a lot of foundation to build to even reach the level of product maturity that we were satisfied with. So there was no point to, going crazy on distribution marketing when we were not even happy with what we had. So we realized, we do need an help center. We do need an integrated live chat. And then the AI wave about 3 years ago, and we're like, oh, damn, we don't really have the foundations ready. But no, we also need to catch that wave. So that's what took a little bit longer.
Okay. But when did you start going to market more extensively, I would say?
So honestly, we didn't do anything apart from, a few comments here and there, trying to post our link. And the good thing we had before we sold ImproveMX, we had that huge distribution channel because ImproveMX was a freemium product with more than 100,000 users. So we just, put a banner on the landing page saying, hey, if you want something great for your customer support, try this product. We were adding on every transactional email of ImproveMX in the footer, a little bit of a product ad for Fernand. And this was just driving all of the sign up strategy. Obviously, when we sold, the new owner removed all of those product placements, unfortunately. So then we saw all the signups tank and the traffic tank completely. And this is when we started to feel, we should really start to think more about marketing. Honestly, we only started thinking and implementing strategies this month. So in January. So I've spent much of the Christmas break thinking about a cold marketing engine, some content marketing strategies. So we can chat about all those. But it's very, very new to us and it's very actual. So I'm happy to chat with you, Pascal and Sai, on what we could be doing better.
And so now we're going to start the board session, I would say. And that's when Sai will come more into the discussion. And so you mentioned to me, Antoine, that one of your challenge was to pick and stick to the right niche or ICP. One thing to provide context is that, Sai, you're the founder of Superblog, which is a blogging platform. Blogging platforms, you have a bunch of competitors. One of your competitors is WordPress, which is used by 70% of websites today. So it's not like you don't have competitors. And in your case, just explain to us very quickly how you went about finding your niche and your ICP.
So landing on the product idea was very simple for me. It just came out of my pain. When I was building products, I do the same repetitive tasks all the time, install a WordPress on a server, optimize the theme, template server, and then make sure it scores well in Google audits. And I kept doing this repeatedly. And that's when I decided, so people like me who want to focus on building the product and growing the product need not get into this whole optimization game, especially for the content stack. And essentially, I validated this with by checking out the other forums. And I wrote an article on Medium quite some time back, switching from WordPress to a Jamstack solution. And it went off in a mini viral mode. And I launched a open source Gatsby starter that resembles like Medium, and people wanted that. Turns out people really want something pretty and converts well. They don't really want to get their hands dirty. So that's how I landed up on that. And over the years, I refined very much on like who I want to be my customers, whom like I would want to sell. And it turns out it's easier to get people to use their company's credit card than their personal credit card. That's how I zeroed it on like, okay, I'll be selling to companies who are focused on growth. That's how I narrowed it down.
Okay. And so in your case, Antoine, you mentioned small SaaS firms with less than 10 people. I mean, on the one hand, with AI, it might be the majority of SaaS companies, if there are SaaS businesses at all. But it's also true that if you think about a software business, they tend to want to grow. They want to have more people. They're raising a lot of money, or, all that stuff. So in a way, you might be the beginner car, the car you get just after you get your driving license, but not the destination car. How do you think about that? And do you only have SaaS customers, or do you have customers in other market segments?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one, because we are like really opinionated on the SaaS ICP, but I would say that 20% or so of our customers are not SaaS. Like, we have very successful e-commerce people. We have like marketing agencies. We even have an NGO that just signed up. And, we are at a stage where I just cannot say, oh no, sorry, you're not an ideal customer for us. Like, go away. Don't give us your money. We're just like, okay, cool. That's cool. If you see the value. Usually those people are the ones that are looking for a superhuman-like shared inbox. And when they find Fernand with keyboard shortcuts, with like the sync engine where everything is super fast, they are like, okay, yeah, that's it. I don't really care about like a support widget, the AI features, whatever. I just want this kind of UX. So that's great. But at the same time, I feel like they are using 10% of the product, which is exactly what led us to build Fernand in the first place. We were using maybe even 5% of Intercom, but paying for 100% of the price. And so I think our pricing is much more affordable and fair. But still, I'm seeing those people are more like churn candidates, because they're not getting the same kind of value that a SaaS team is doing. So I'm a little bit like, great, it's nice. A sign up and a paid customer is always great, but it feels like I definitely don't want to go after them, right?
Okay. So then if you, on the other hand, you have also people that are starting a project and they want to buy some tool, and they're also very transient, right? They might use 100% of your tool, but they might use it for 2 months because they're changing projects, and they're changing projects very often. And so they're not stable. So how do you know when to catch the right customer?
Yeah. So this is something I've learned really this month when running the cold email strategy. And I can tell you a little bit more about it later.
Yeah.
I have this whole automation with N8N, and I think it's really smart. And I was expecting it to work like really well. But most of the answers I get are like, oh, this looks really good, but honestly, like, I don't have any customers, so I don't have any customer support to do. And I was surprised how many of those answers I'm getting. So I realized I'm probably targeting people way too early.
Yeah.
Maybe it's planting seeds, right, for later. Like, a few of those might remember me and be like, oh, it would be great now that I experienced that pain, I don't know, 6 months from now. But that's not kind of the sales cycle that that I was going after. And so, yeah, that's definitely a challenge with the ICP, I'd say. And that's why I'm thinking I should try to go more for somewhat established, but still in that bootstrap realm. So it's very difficult.
How many emails or messages from customers do they need to get for them to actually feel a pain? It's not one. It's not 500, so it's in between.
I think usually what I've seen is when you need to collaborate. Otherwise, you just handle everything in your personal Gmail or whatever, and it kind of works. And the second thing is when they want to offer like self-service capabilities, like having an help center or having a level 1 AI agent answering like the easy questions trained on your AI intelligence. Like these are the things that we provide that can also help a solo founder. And actually we have, was looking the numbers this morning, almost half of our paying companies have only one seat. So you know, like the solo founder kind of experience. And I think what they're really valuing is having the widget on their side, etc., and having maybe this also separate from their personal email. But obviously you can charge a ton for those kind of users. So it's at the moment it's $29 a month. We are going to increase that to $50 with the new marketing site. Because actually when we released it for $29, we didn't have all those features. We just had a shared inbox. We didn't have an help center. We didn't have a live chat widget. We didn't have AI built in. And so now we feel that that's a much better value. Actually, question for you, Pascal or Sai. What do you think about increasing prices? And my theory is that we should just grandfather the users that are paying $29 per seat at the moment, just because it feels right and they've helped us. They supported us for so long. But I've also seen a lot of posts saying that, no, you should just increase your prices for everyone. And as long as they're getting value, they will stay and they will be still happy. So it's just about how you communicate it.
To take first one first?
Yeah, sure. I think I have a mixed approach for that. Definitely we should respect our early users who supported us in the journey. I would definitely grandfather them at their current prices. At the same time, I would be shipping new features, and there would be some premium features which we would keep anyways for the higher tiers. So if the user who's using for so long and they would see the value in this new premium features, they would upgrade anyways. So most probably that's what will happen, and I think that's the right way to go about it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think we're a little bit trapped by our like product philosophy, but because we wanted to offer one simple, transparent price. That was also one of the driver for Fernand over all this crazy pricing things. I think Intercom kind of fixed their pricing recently, but before you had like a price seat and then you were adding like plugins for a certain price and then at the end of the day you also add overage per user and stuff, and you didn't know what you're gonna pay at the end of the month. And that's what we wanted to change as well. Like you need to know what kind of invoice you're getting at the end of the month. And I think the plane and pylon and the product lanes, they're also going for enterprise, because as long as these enterprise companies are getting the value, they don't care whether there will be a variation of $100 because they use more AI credits or something, or tokens. But I think for our audience, it's more difficult. So I think, yes, the best way would be to add more tiers, I think.
The other way you can do it is to do something that we've done in the past as well, which is to grandfather your customer for a period. For example, in our case, we grandfather them for a year. And then after a year, we, as we've added new features, we raise prices for legacy customers as well. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, whether we should have done it after a year or after 6 months is a different discussion. But I think that we have demonstrated to our early customers that we had provided enough value, that it was worth paying $10, $20 more per month for that. And it worked really well. I mean, we had zero complaint. So in a way, you want some complaint because it means that there's a little bit of push. If you have no complaint, it means that you were not expensive enough in the first place.
I mean, I even have customers that told me, hey, dude, like, this is way too cheap. I'm getting so, like, you should double the price or something. Oh, thank you. I mean, it doesn't happen a ton. It was just this one customer, but still, it felt like, we should be doing something here.
But Pascal, I just have one Question over here.
Yeah.
Even if you're going for a steep increase in the price, would the customers still be happy to say pay like 4x or 5x of the new of the old price?
I mean, when we did increase our pricing, we did increase by 4x or 5x. We increased by at the time it was 30 or 40%.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it was not that steep, but I mean, it was still money, and you can always have some pushback. I actually believe, my mindset is that if you want to have product-led growth, it's good and valuable to have a cheaper entry price, in the sense that it removes the need to ask questions. You can try. The commitment is not that much. When you have sales teams, you don't care because you have salespeople that can explain to you a value in a very eloquent way. When you're self-serve, there is value in my mind, especially in a very crowded market, to be a bit cheaper than your competitor, because that way people don't think about it twice. They just say, okay, it's a no-brainer. I'm just going to try. And then if they like the product, then you have a good loyal customer for a long run.
Yeah, I think the price, even if we 4x'd it, and I'm thinking of some customers we have in my head, they will be like the tiny solopreneur kind of, like side project founder that would probably start looking at alternatives. And I think most of them would go away. But the more established ones, like the ones that have also raised money and stuff like this, they would stay. I'm pretty sure they would stay. So it's kind of a trade-off. But just from my own personal beliefs and stuff, I would say we would rather grandfather, like Pascal said, for a year or so, or even forever, potentially. I don't know. One thing that I'm thinking about is all the products that I've released before and that were successful at a free tier. And Fernand doesn't. We just have a 14-day free trial. And the big aha moment is when you start hooking up your email to Fernand, right? So you have actual real customer conversations coming in. But most of the free trial never activate this, even if we are trying really hard on reminding them and stuff. I think it's because it feels like a commitment very early. Like, if I do all this DNS setup and stuff, like email redirection to Fernand, and I'm not happy with it, then it will be a pain to switch back. So it feels like we are asking them to marry us too early, even before dating. And I don't know if, you had something similar with Superblog, because obviously if you had a blog before, you might need to migrate, etc.
Yes.
How you approach that side.
Even I had this exact issue, because I launched Superblog for a way too lesser price. I started at $9 per month. And right now, for the same plan, people need to pay $49 a month. And no complaints from the new customers, because they see the value they're getting. But the minute, so as I was telling you, right, certain premium features I added to the higher tiers, so that it gives a reason for the existing customers to upgrade. And I definitely get DMs and emails asking for, some discounts or thing. Otherwise, it would be for them, in their mind, it's such a steep jump. When we're talking about solo businesses and very small startups. But the established ones, they're happy to just upgrade away.
And you don't have a free plan, right?
Yeah, that's one thing I decided from beginning, exactly in your way. Previously, I had all the products had free plans, but for Superblog, I thought, fine, I'll remove the free plan and just see if the customer's wallet will speak.
So I guess you also have way less signups. So the dynamic for us compared to the products that I had before is a lot of low quality signups.
Exactly.
A flow of those. And people engaging a lot with the product, at least the free plan. Engagement and activation rate was really high. But then obviously maybe 5% or 10% would end up converting to a paid plan, which meant also a lot more customer support queries and a lot more infrastructure costs and all of this, which we don't have with Fernand at the moment. We might have 2 or 3 inquiries per day, which is really manageable. Whereas with Improve Mix, for example, it was more like 40. And so we even had like 2 full-time support engineers on the team.
Yeah.
And so all of those costs feel like they add up. Also, we realized we would rather be just 2 co-founders for as long as possible. Like our mental model is to reach 100K in monthly recurring revenue.
Yeah.
It's just my co-founder and I. I think with AI and all of what AI can enable now and things like, like Claude bot, like recently this weekend, I think it's called Mold. It shows you how you can really have your personal assistant like enabled for you. So I think a lot of this is going to be much more possible. But yeah, it's still really much a challenge to niche down.
I just have like one point to add here. So, to the listeners who are going to listen to this. So typically SaaS, they can be grouped into 2 kind of products, like gated products and public products. You could say Fernand is kind of a gated product, but Superblog is a public product. So having a free plan for this kind of products essentially attracts a lot of spammers, abusers in the field of SEO. At least you tend to see like people creating a lot of free blogs to start pointing backlinks to them. And you have some abuse, like say people start creating some pirated content on the platform. So for public SaaS, you have that kind of problem on top of what you just mentioned on all those factors. So having not a free plan helped me in that way.
Yeah, we had exactly the same problem with Improve Mix, which was email forwarding thing that you can have your custom domain like blah.com, and it would you can create aliases that redirect to your Gmail, Proton, or whatever.
Yeah.
And spam and abuse was like one of the big thing in the free plan. We had to put so much work into this, which felt annoying because you are fighting people that don't even give you anything, right? Money, and they will never convert to anything.
Which is why I would recommend against grandfathering forever, because at some point that will be something that somebody in your team will be reluctant to serve because they will not have the same recognition for the early contribution that you as founders might have. I mean, one question I had for you, if we wanted to, make progress on this discussion about the niching down, do you have a concern that like for these B2B SaaS, and if you have a per-seat approach and everything, that you are going to have to face the same question that Pylon and Plane and others have, which is that you need to go up market because these customers have more teams, they're growing faster, they're more profitable, etc., etc. Like, or if you stay in your lane, what is a message that you can say that would convince them to stay with you, even when they have a team of support for 10, 15 people?
From looking at the past and what happened, I definitely saw one case where the team has outgrown the product. They were growing so fast. They kept adding team members and they were requesting, like much more powerful reporting and like integrations that we didn't have, and like automated CSAT surveys and NPS, and like they also had like every day new requests. And at some point I'm like, oh, well, I think you should use product X because this would, serve you better with what you are looking for. And that was really painful because you're like, oh, if only we could build all those features. But at the same time, all the other people are almost begging us to just keep the product simple, let it have it run well, etc. So I don't know if we really can make it work for both worlds the same, or if we at some point need to say, okay, let's also go with this. At the moment, my mental model is saying, I don't want to go chase the same fish, if we look at the ocean metaphor, as the others, because then I'm directly competing with a Plane, a Pylon, or whatever, which means I almost have zero chance, right? Like I don't have this crazy big sales team. I just can't dedicate that much marketing dollars to paid ads and awareness and stuff. So like, if I feel like I'm aligning on this, how am I winning? It's very difficult. Probably with pricing, which could be one, and potentially product quality. But again, Python and Plain are great products. They have great product design. They have great founders, whatever. So it's also difficult where I feel like in the previous years, whenever we were launching a SaaS, most of the competition was shit. No, it's like difficult because all of those tools are great already. And so I really need to see what makes us different. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that one way you can look at it is that, if you look at Sai, for example, and he has a very clear saying, you're using Superblog if your focus of your blog is growth. If that's what you care about, then you should use us because we are already optimized for all the things that Google and the LLMs and all that stuff that matters. So this is what we do. We are not doing everything. You can't create a website with us. You're not a full CMS for a place where you can have a blog that will be optimized for growth. And in a way, in your case, maybe there's a philosophy play to say, well, I mean, if what you want is to have a support system that works and you don't want to grow your team that much, then you're in the right place. And in a way, people can self-select. If you're a startup and you've raised money and you want to grow your support team to 10, 20, 50 people, then Fernand is not for you. You should go to Pylon, you should go to Plain because they're playing that game. And so in a way, you're saying no to people, but others say, oh, this is my home. This is the type of company that I want to build. And then from a marketing standpoint and from a content standpoint, maybe leveraging Sai's product, you can create content about how to scale your company without the need to hire 10, 20 people for support. And so your identity becomes tied to the skinny, tall startup, which is we don't have a lot of people, but we're still ambitious in how big we want to be, which is a different kind of people and different kind of team than the people that want like a more extensive team and company. And so, that would be a way to differentiate yourself and to take a strong stance. In a way, the best positionings are one where people could say, this is not for me. Like Netflix, their values document, what they shared, one of their goals was that some people say, oh, I don't want to work there. If you have values that everybody would say, this is something that I share, this is not a good value guide because it does not help with adverse selection. And you want to select against your product. If I'm a startup in Silicon Valley and I want to have a 500 people team and I expect to have a 100 people operations team, I should not want Fernand. And that's okay. But if I want to be the same company, but have only 5 people for support, even though I do 100 million in ARR, then Fernand is great for that. And you want those, and they will be your wins. They will be your trophies. And people see their logos on their website and say, oh, this is exactly the type of company what I want to build.
By the way, this is a really good growth lever for us, right? Like the Help Center has a powered by Fernand at the bottom, and like the support widget has a tiny mention as well. And it's driving like a lot of signups or quality signups because people are like, oh, I want whatever this cool influencer guy has, right? Yep. So that's really a cool flywheel thing for us. I don't know if you have that with Superblog, but I was recommended.
Okay.
Where
I had to, since it's a paid only platform, I thought we should give the option for users to disable the branding, and most people, 100% of them disable the branding. So not much on that aspect.
Makes sense.
But
one thing I realized is we also get SEO from it. So like the domain ranking, because whenever they add the widget or headless form or whatever on their site, it still counts as a do-follow link sometimes, and it's crazy because we get all this juice for free. So that's a pretty nice need. Although I also realized that it makes it more of a target for competitors. Like, I shared that story about the founder of Python, sending cold emails even to me, trying to make me switch to their product. I feel like maybe you could have a scrapper or something that finds all the customers that have hosted for us and then just like email them directly.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, it's always...
No, I was actually going to suggest, let's try to offer our final advice for this section before we move to the next section. So what do you think, Sai? What's your take on what Antoine discussed and where he should focus on?
The point you talked about, multiple segments of customers initially that you had, like from SaaS and e-commerce and all, I really wanted to iterate on that because I believe we should niche down on a certain type of customers initially, at least for a set period or a duration, because our GTM strategies and the product, the features that we build in, everything will depend on that. So I would really love to understand, if you had to say no to like 80% of customers you have, who would you keep?
Yeah, definitely the SaaS founders. And I think Pascal nailed it. It's just like really the SaaS founders that want to stay lean, but still grow. And it's really not about the team size, which is why maybe seat pricing is not really the best business model for us. Maybe we can touch on this and we need to revise this. But like, it's more about the mindset and the ambition, like what they're expecting. So this is really who are getting the best value. Also, just because of the type of integrations we have with Linear, with Polar, Stripe, Paddle for payments, with GitHub as well for issues. Like everything really fits in this ecosystem of more modern tools. And like, I know some people that use Linear, GitHub, and let's say Stripe. And so they have all of this really constrained. And it feels like for them, it's just like, boom, it's exactly the tool they want to use. So I would say this is the ideal customer. But the problem is again, maybe the seat pricing, because this ideal customer they might just have like a co-founder, meaning they need only 2 active seats at 29 at the moment, 50 in the future. So it would be like max $100 capped for us, even though they might be serving, I don't know, like 20,000 customers every month. All right. Because we are not limiting on this or limiting on the amount of conversations or history that you might have. The only way where we are limiting you is on the actual AI agent token response. So it's very generous on the plan, but still at some point it will like tap out. And one thing we want to do is to add like overage on your AI thing. We have a few customers that reach their limit every month. So for now, we're just bumping it, but we'll add that as well.
Understood.
Okay.
No, I was just going to ask, our product roadmap will be heavily influenced by that niching down decision, because customers will have different requirements based on their customers. What would you stop building if you lock down an ICP niche? How do you take the decision?
One thing we wanted to build was, for example, SLA, so service level agreement kind of warning and stuff. And we're like, you know what? Let's pause this for now, because this is really going after the more enterprisey stuff. And having this mental model would help to make those prioritization decisions, because at the moment, I'm a product designer. My co-founder is a developer, backend, frontend. And so we just want to build stuff. That's what got us excited. We're like, oh, maybe we have one customer that would ask for the SLA feature. That's not that hard. We could do it like this or like this. And we kind of tend to go heads down building the thing without really understanding whether it's beneficial for the product. And so I started to understand also that it feels like we might be not really losing time, but not making us a favor by sometime not having this clear framework of what it is that we should build or who it is that we should build it for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, I think the ICP, we have the ICP, we know who it is, but is it clearly defined as like, sharp in our head? Not really. Because if I can sign tomorrow a 500-person team that is not happy with Pylon, I would happily do it, you know? So that's the question.
But that's the trade-off you need to make. I think that if you want to be successful, you need to be able to say no to people. Like they need to have something in the way, because that company with 500 seats, they will want some of the bells and whistles that Pylon has. Zendesk has huge quality of life features that are built within their ecosystem and within their marketplace. You can have them, but they have maybe 50 or 100 companies that are behind all these features. Do you want to build all that? Probably not. So again, I think that you need to, in my mind, positioning matters a lot in very crowded market, which implies to say no to people that are not the right people.
Because it's such a big market, you don't really care, right? Because saying no to...
Yeah, you have to believe in your segment. Right. You have to believe in your segment. If Sai was going to say, I want people to use me for everything, not only for their blog, for their growth strategy, but also as a CMS and as a way to build a website, then he would completely dilute his messaging. And then he would go into the treadmill of trying to compete with WordPress, which has 10 years and hundreds and thousands of developers who contributed to it when he's by himself. He can't win that game. So I think that you need to be okay with being successful in one segment and be really good at it and be the product for that market. And it could be, and you could be lucky and joined at some point by other markets or other business types that have similar traits. Like, for example, if you're a content creator and if you're a successful content creator and have tens of or hundreds of clients, maybe you'll use Fernand for support because you have needs, but you don't want to become like a big software company. You're not going to be Anthropic. And it's okay. There's always value in arming the rebels. And then, that can be your strategy. Like you can always see down the road 5 years from now, if your framework is the norm, then you can pivot and obviously get more people in. Like Shopify, that was the case for Shopify. They were arming the rebels and at some point they became the norm. But they always made sure that people at the bottom could be successful. And that's kind of their strategy. So that's how but if Toby had said yes 10 years ago to, I don't know, Lego wanting to open a Shopify website, that would have been, they might not have been as successful because they would have become like BigCommerce, which had to make different trade-offs. I mean, BigCommerce, because they were accommodating bigger stores, they couldn't force people to use their shopping cart because bigger stores already have payment vendors. And so your growth becomes path dependent because you have to accommodate the big guys and not the guys that you really want. When you become dominant, you can decide and you can show people that this is the right way. But it takes time. And you need to trust your instinct and not just say yes to everybody that says yes.
Yeah, that really resonates with me because a lot of Fernand's positioning is also about the idea that it's for founders doing their own support. It's calm and opinionated, taking you to inbox zero like Superhuman does. And I feel like this has not really been successful. So it's successful for me and for a few customers that told me, oh my God, that's so great. I feel so relaxed using this. I feel like I'm on top of my inbox. I know exactly who is reaching out. I'm following up. I'm closing the loop. But a lot of the other people that are more maybe established and more like working in a real company, whatever that means, like the employees, they don't have a stake in that company. They don't really feel that much. So I think that's also something that I've learned that should maybe be a switch from the positioning as more of a nice to have bonus like cherry on top rather than the thing that makes you switch, right?
If you are very opinionated and you write content very super opinionated, you will attract people that feel that way. And that's, in my mind, the best path. Maybe we can dive into the go-to-market very quickly because we won't have as much time. But one thing you mentioned earlier that your customers today, they come from word of mouth. They come from the link that they're seeing. In your case, Sai, I mean, again, you mentioned that you don't have a link to your product because it's a paid product. What has worked for you so far in terms of go-to-market, and what strategy have you tried?
So for Superblog, it kind of became very simple over the experimentations, like 3 channels. Number 1, just SEO, dogfooding the own product. Number 2, I'm a fair bit active on Twitter and LinkedIn, especially because that's where founders hang out more. And I built quite a bit of audience, and that has proven to be a very reliable channel, because even larger companies, they want to see a face even before the product, so that they can trust and give their whole content and authority to Superblog. And third, happy customers are the best salesmen, is what I feel. And that's the channel that's been working equally well for me.
On the latter, how have you managed to make sure so that every happy customer can, talk about you on social media, refer other people, or like how have you managed to activate that goodwill, if you will?
Initially, we had to seed that, right? So I used to have this small coupon for a discount for the customers in exchange for testimonial or a social media shout out. That worked very well. But as they keep, and one problem with Superblog is it takes time for the customer to get to aha moment. Okay, it's not like immediately that they get that. So it takes like 3 to a good 6 month time, where they can see. And by the time they'll be so accustomed to the product that they won't give a shout out. But at the same time, they did see a great spike in their Google Search Console or traffic. They tend to reach out to me and say, hey, this is actually very good. And so then sometimes I nudge them, hey, why don't you do a social post? Which I don't do much, but sometimes if I really feel other people get some benefit out of it, I tend to ask them. That's how I try to maintain that their motivation or inspiration, I would say.
And in your case, you mentioned that you've tried different things. What do you want, and what do you feel comfortable trying, Antoine?
I want to try a ton of stuff. Actually, I'm more at the phase where it's like kind of throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks. I don't think we have like one super successful thing that we can 10x at the moment. It's just a lot of seeds here and there planted. X is working fairly well because it's more long term. You have people that really connect with you even over DMs and stuff like this, and they eventually become customers. LinkedIn worked also fairly well in content marketing. And I've done some funny stints, like I live in Hamburg in Germany, and there is a conference called OMR that attracts a lot of founders. It's online marketing, rock stars, OMR, but it still has a bit of a overlap. And I dressed as Fernand. So Fernand has this brand of like being my grandfather was a postman in France. And, I had this uniform that I wear, the fake mustache hat, and I was just giving out letters. And, those things, actually, this didn't work at all. Like no one really signed up or anything from handing out the letters. What worked was telling the story about this. So the post went a bit viral on X and on LinkedIn because people found this to be like a high agency kind of example. And so the value was not doing it. The value was in getting people to hear about me doing it. And that actually brought us customers. So that's very funny. I like those kind of growth hacky ways because I feel like this is what the most established customers wouldn't do, right? I don't think the founder of Plane or a Pylon or an Intercom would dress up as a 1960s postman themselves, at least. And I think it's also fun. Like, it's just funnier. I think of my business as a creative outlet almost. So I don't really have the goal to become, like you said, an Anthropic or an OpenAI, like 100 billion valuation or something. Honestly, to us, getting to 100K in MRR would be like, we won. Like, that's it. And if you think about our competitors, good luck telling their investors that 100K is we won and we stopped there. It's great. So I think we're also playing on a different scale, which is totally okay and fine. I recognize this. So to get back to your question, happy to try everything, almost like even like putting on costumes and stuff if I have to. What I'm trying now is first rebuilding our marketing site because it's not really showing all the cool innovations and it's not reflecting the product. So that's on me. That sucks. So the new marketing site is on the way, and it will be also much more set up for SEO. Cause now the content was really, let's say, sparse, as in it's really user driven, but I didn't have a reflection on, having separate landing page per vertical or like explaining certain features more in depth, etc. So the new marketing side will have this. And then I'm also trying two things. So influencer marketing. We've had bad results so far, honestly, not gonna lie. So we spend more, maybe around $10,000 in total in different like newsletter sponsorships, LinkedIn page sponsorships and stuff like this. And usually it gets a lot of engagement on the post, like some traffic on the site, but it doesn't translate to actual quality signups.
I mean, yet. I would actually lean in on the quirks and the uniqueness of what you want your approach to be. I think that it's good to do the work that you mentioned, like the more, I would say, technical aspect. But I think that you have more value in being also something that has a strong opinion, because some people care about these strong opinions. And that's a way to get away from the noise. So I think that if you are promoting other companies that are doing things in a lean way, or other founders that are doing that in a lean way, even people like John Rush or Thibaut Maker or Louis, these guys, they don't have a huge amount of support teams, and yet they have big businesses. I mean, Peter Levels, for example, also. And so if you talk about these guys that are in a way that should be customers of Fernand, but are not yet for some reasons, you are also tapping into an audience that value and them as a model. And you can have build some authority among customer types that wants to be like who you want them to be. So that's something that I would consider. And even if you think about doing outbound, then focus on people. Yeah, you're right. If it's one person and they don't have you can leverage things like Trust MRR and other tools like that, where the size of a customer. If they're doing $500 in MRR, they're not going to buy Fernand, even if Fernand was free, because they don't have a problem. If they are doing 5,000, 10,000, then the problems start to arise. And you have a lot of those, and you can send them very cool messages and very personalized messages, and they're sharing their numbers. So in a way, you don't have to worry about anything else. So that's one way I would look into it, to have very differentiated messages, and also go after these niche customers to attract them.
Yeah. I mean, Trust MRR is difficult because people kind of want to get rid of their product, right? I mean, like
but
a lot
always,
of it in the
not always. I mean, some people do, but not always. There's also a little bit of a, I want to put my stamp on where things are. Yeah, there is a leaderboard aspect to that. And if you look at Trust MRR, I think that's maybe 10-15% want to sell, but many people they're proud of where they are.
They just want to be there. And put their name on there. Yeah, it's a good one. So I have this N8N automation lead engine thing where I'm scraping every day a product hunt-like thing in our niche, like a startup directory for new products. And then what I'm doing is that I identify the founder and get their email address the best I can. And then instead of saying a lame cold email, I show them one of our coolest features, which is the custom data feature. So on Fernand, you have like the inbox view. When you click on conversation, you can see on the sidebar different data about the customer context. So if you connected Stripe, you can see their subscription details, their latest payments and stuff. But you can also connect your own custom API endpoint and say, for example, for you, Sai, you'd have how many blogs they've created, which plan they are in, have they turned on like specific SEO features or not, etc. And then what I'm doing in the cold email is I'm asking ChatGPT, making an API call saying, hey, give me like a model for the custom data. And then I inject that in a fake HTML page. I take a screenshot, I generate an image, and I'm like, hey, look, this is what your support inbox could look like. And it's fairly cool. I think like it's working, right? So for you, I could try and send you what it would look for your Superblog. But I think it would be something around like what kind of website they turn on, their URL, whatever. And it visualized that with our design system very well. And then I'm saying, hey, I could help you set that up. Like, just let me know. But again, like the answers that I'm getting, and I think maybe it's because my source is not good enough and I'm not asking or telling the right people. Whereas like, oh, looks amazing. Thank you for doing the work. Also, I kind of guilt trip them and saying I'm doing this manually and I'm putting the work so they really answer. So it's cool. But yeah, the answer is always like either, I don't have that pain. So it's cool, but like, it's not for me. Or I'm already using tool XYZ and like, I have no business in switching. That works fine for me. So I think, that's an interesting one.
Outbound always takes time. I mean, outbound is a game of volume. You're not going to get 10% of conversion or 20% of conversion. So that's fine. Okay. I'm looking at the clock and we're getting to the end of the podcast. Before we go we go there, Sai, do you have any other advice for Antoine in terms of his go-to-market beyond using Superblog?
I'm like super big on content. Based on what Antoine said right now, he's already on the right track, targeting like multiple landing pages with the keywords to reach your customers. But I would say start creating tons of documentation. It could be actual docs, or it could be blog posts, or it could be any other articles that you want to link to your domain property. Because like the good old saying, like SEO needs a lot of content, a lot of good content. But with this new AI chatbots engines, you would really need to feed them as much as possible from your point of view, and mix the social signals with that. Say for example the viral activity you did. I would say that worked because I also came across that post on LinkedIn. Yeah, combined with that, you would really be setting up the ground for a larger surface area, right? So when people start hitting with questions to these engines or typical search bots, you would be there. So maybe I would suggest you to focus more on content. Talk about your features or anything like so, something that adds value. That's how I would go about it.
Great. So let's go with one of my favorite questions to close this podcast. And we'll go with what is the most important thing you learned from your mother?
I can take it first. So my mom was I don't even know the word, like a professional babysitter, you know? Like at home, she would have kids. The parents would drop the kids in the morning and pick them up in the evening. She even had like a special license for handicapped children. And for me, when I started growing up, I always thought, that's kind of boring, right? She's not really creating anything. There's no goal. There's not even like a way for her to grow in her career, right? Like it's just maybe she could have another child on top. I think there is kind of a limit of how many you can have. But it was like, why is she doing this? This is just like so repetitive. And but as I grew up, I realized that she was so right. She just did the thing that she liked, you know, being with kids and taking the time to help them grow, etc. And I realized, like, if something feels boring but correct for you, then it's probably right. And so it helped me a lot to chill in terms of like, no, you don't have to work every weekend and you don't have to, you know, do the crazy things all the time. Just align with your system and do those long-term things that compound kind of quietly. That makes sense. I think I took the metaphor far, but yeah.
Sai, what about you?
Well, I did read. I mean, I did get something unrelated, but I used to be like super timid and super soft when I was like growing up, and there used to be this bully in my school. So there was some issue, and I was just asking my mother to come to school with me, you know, like defend me, like I'm scared. But the words I heard from her at that point of time still resonate with me and kind of like shaped my outlook towards society or any problem facing, which are do not be afraid to stand your ground ever, especially when you didn't do anything wrong. Just stick with your gut and like face the whole world. So probably I think those shaped me to become an entrepreneur, I think. Because like to become an entrepreneur, we need to have that confidence that the 1,000 solutions out there on the market are wrong. I am right. People will buy my product. So I think maybe that helped me a lot, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. And that's how we will end this podcast. Thank you, Sai. Thank you, Antoine. I hope this podcast was useful to you, Antoine. And thanks to all of you who listened to us today.
I have a big to-do list now.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Pascal, for this opportunity. And Antoine, thank you for your time.